नंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारि यमुना तीरा वनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीचन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीचन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारि यमुना तीरा वनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा शील प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा शील प्रभुपदा एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस सदस्य श्रीमद इस्कॉन ग्रेशियस भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन संस्थापकाचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस सदस्य श्रीमद भक्तिवेदांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। एवं विष्णुपाद शकोर किशोरदास बाबू महाराज की जय। एवं विष्णुपाद सच्चिदानंद वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास भक्तनाथ ठाकुर की जय। एवं विष्णुपाद वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबू महाराज की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नामाचार्य दास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से गो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोकुल श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिगोवर्धन की जय। श्री श्री गौरांगी बेंगलुरु ईश्वर भगवान की जय। श्री मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। गंगमयी की जय। यमुनामयी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। इस्कॉन भक्तमान गुरुवंद की जय। श्रीमाद भक्तवृंद की जय। गौरव प्रेमानंदे हरि को all glories to their symbol, all glories to their symbol. So all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All goes to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Apatreshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtivi. Hare Krishna, welcome to the Friday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 6, text 38 and 39. First we'll read text 38. Kritvorav dakshine sabhyam padapatmam chajjanuni bahum prakoshte shamadham asinam tarkamutreha. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His left leg was placed on his right thigh and his left hand was placed on his left thigh. In his right hand he held Rudraksha beads. This sitting posture is called Virasana. He sat in the Virasana posture and his finger was in the mode of argument. The sitting posture described herein is called Virasana according to a system of Ashtanga Yoga performances. In the performance of yoga, there are 8 divisions such as Yama and Niyama, controlling, following the rules and regulations, and practicing the sitting postures, etc. Besides Virasana, there are other sitting postures such as Padmasana and Siddhasana. Practice of these asanas without elevating oneself to the position of realizing the super soul Vishnu is not the perfectional stage of yoga. Lord Shiva is called Yogeshwara, the master of all yogis, and Krishna is also called Yogeshwara. Yogeshwara indicates that no one can surpass the yoga practice of Lord Shiva, and Yogeshwara indicates that no one can surpass the yogic perfection of Krishna. Another significant word is Tarkamudra. This indicates that the fingers are open and the second finger is raised along with the arm. To impress the audience with some subject matter, this is actually a symbolic representation. Text 39. Tam Brahmanidvana Samadhimashritam Yupasritam Girisham Yogal Kaksham Salokapala Muniyo Manunham Adyam Manum Pranjaleha Pranemuhu Tam Brahmanidvana Samadhimashritam Yupashritam Girisham Yoga Kaksham Salokapala Muniyo Manunam Adyam Manum Pranjaleha Pranemuhu Tam Brahmanidvana Samadhimashritam Vyupashritam Girisham Yoga Kaksham Salokapala Muniyo Manunam Adyam Manum Pranjaleha Pranemuhu. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All the sages and demigods headed by Indra offered their respectful obeisances unto Lord Shiva with folded hands. Lord Shiva was dressed in saffron garments and absorbed in trance, thus appearing to be the foremost of all sages. In this word, the word Brahmananda is significant. This Brahmananda or Brahmanirvana is explained by Prahlad Maharaj. When one is completely absorbed in the Adhokshada, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the sense perception of materialistic persons, one is situated in Brahmananda. It is impossible to conceive of the existence of name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he is transcendently situated beyond the conception of materialistic persons. Because materialists cannot imagine or conceive of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they may think that God is dead, but actually he is always existing in his Satchidananda Vigraha, his eternal form. Constant meditation concentrated on the form of the Lord is called Samadhi, ecstasy or trance. Samadhi means particularly concentrated attention, so one who has achieved the qualification of always meditating on the personality of Godhead is to be understood to be always in trance and enjoying Brahmanirvana or Brahmananda. Lord Shiva exhibited those symptoms, and therefore it is stated that he was absorbed in Brahmananda. Another significant word is Yoga Kaksha. Yoga Kaksha is the sitting posture in which the left thigh is fixed under one's tightly knotted saffron-colored garment. Also, the words Muni, Manunam, Adyam are significant here because they mean a philosopher or one who is thoughtful and can think very nicely. Such a man is called Manu. Lord Shiva is described in this verse as the chief of all thinkers. Lord Shiva, of course, does not engage in useless mental speculation, but as stated in the previous verse, he is always thoughtful regarding how to deliver the demons from their fallen condition of life. It is said that during the advent of Lord Chaitanya, Sadashiva appeared as Advaita Prabhu, and Advaita Prabhu's chief concern was to elevate the fallen conditioned souls to the platform of devotional service to Lord Krishna. Since people were engaged in useless occupations which would continue their material existence, Lord Shiva, in the form of Lord Advaita, appeared the Supreme Lord to appear as Lord Chaitanya to deliver these conditioned souls. Actually, Lord Chaitanya appeared on the request of Lord Advaita. Actually, Lord Shiva has a sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya. He is always thinking about the deliverance of the fallen souls as exhibited Lord Advaita Prabhu. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Ye Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinapanto Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Taptakanchana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwar Vishwanaste Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakilpatarubhyascha Vasnubhyascha Patitanam Pavnebhya Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavarta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Karam Devachalam Nandi Kabada Muhammad Shri Guru Dhanadharnam Paramadhamadam Shri Chaitanya Ishwar. Hare Krishna. So welcome to this class. In these two slokas, we see here first in text 38, when Brahman with all the demigods went to see Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva was situated in yoga, and the position of asana is mentioned here in the first sloka. We'll go through this and then go to the next sloka, that is 39. So in 38 sloka, there is a mention as to how the Lord Shiva was sitting in a Virasana posture. This is one of the asanas in the Ashtanga Yoga. Besides Virasana, there are other postures like Padmasana and Siddhasana. But the purpose of all these asanas is to bring our consciousness so that we are peaceful in our mind, by which one can always think of Krishna. Krishna himself states in Bhagavad Gita that how can one always constantly think of him? Like he says, I am the fragrance of the earth, I am the taste of water, which is all true. Because if Krishna doesn't give the taste for water, we will not be able to drink that water. For example, the ocean water is very salty. Nobody would like to drink the ocean water. But the water which we get from the rivers, we feel like drinking because there is a taste in it, and that taste is given by none other than Lord Krishna himself. So all these asanas which are mentioned here, they are meant to elevate oneself to a position where one is able to concentrate his mind on the super soul which is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. And without this, all other yoga practices are nothing but physical exercise, which is not the right understanding that most of the people have today. Today they think yoga is meant for bodily fitness. That is not so. So in this Dhyana Yoga process, there are several steps. For example, Yama, Niyama, and so forth. There is also a mention called about Lord Shiva, who is Yogishvara. Yogishvara means he is the master of all yogis. When we say yogi, I mentioned before itself, yogi means linking with the Supreme Lord, and that process of linking is what is called yoga. And there are many methods, processes of yoga called Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. This, what is mentioned in today's verse, is called Ashtanga Yoga. This was actually practically possible in the age of Satya Yoga, where people were not disturbed Unlike today in Kali Yuga, where people are generally mentally every which way they are disturbed, and there is no possibility of practicing controlling the senses or the mind, etc. But so it is mentioned as to how Lord Shiva is the master of all yogis. That's why he is called Yogeshwara. Lord Krishna is also called Yogeshwara. That indicates that no one can surpass the yogic perfection of Krishna. That means whatever yoga perfection that Krishna has got, no one can surpass him. Then another important point that is mentioned is the Tarka Mudra, which indicates that in this particular asana in which Lord Shiva was sitting, it pointed that Shiva was in the mode of argument or discussion. Shiva was in a thoughtful process. This is because Shiva is very good in his thoughts, and we will discuss further on these things. So in this Yama, Niyama, and so forth, there are so many stages in the process of Ashtanga Yoga. But like I mentioned, the target is attaining Lord Vishnu. There is some misconception in yoga practices by which people think of concentrating their mind on something that is void. Void means there is nothing that is existing, or sometimes or the impersonal aspects of the Lord, which is not the authorized yoga system as explained by Kapila Deva in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So even Patanjali, who explained gave the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, also mentioned in his Yoga Sutras that the ultimate goal of all yoga is Vishnu. So we, in the Vaishnava Sampradaya, recognize the Ashtanga Yoga to be a part of the ultimate goal, to be the realization of Lord Vishnu. Many people practice also yoga to get some mystic power, which those who perfect nicely the practice may attain also, but that is not the aim of a normal practitioner. So in this, there are processes like, for example, Yama. Yama is a means to control the senses by giving up violence, for which we have to observe the four regulative principles. We have to be truthful, we have to be free of envy, and we have to perform austerities and not be greedy and so forth. Niyama means observing the rules and regulations and attaining internal and external cleanliness of body and mind. External cleanliness, of course, by taking bath 3 times a day and so forth. And internal cleaning by getting rid of all the anarthas in our heart. Pranayama means controlling the life air, thereby trying to control the mind. And it is said that the asanas make one's body more flexible. Then there are, of course, things like pratyahara, dharana, dhyana. Dhyana is means to meditate on that form of the Lord. Lord is situated in the four, as Paramatma in his four-handed form in everyone's heart. So the point is to meditate on that form of the Lord. And then we come to the stage of samadhi. Samadhi is a stage where one is constantly focused in his attention on the Supreme Lord. By constantly practicing this process one after the other, one attains perfection. Sometimes after many births, sometimes it may not happen also. But some yogic perfections, some attain like becoming smaller than the smallest, heavier than the heaviest. Some can get a power of even manufacturing a planet. And some can control whatever they want to. So it is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are examples of how some residents of Siddhaloka, they are all endowed with these mystic powers. And they fly from one planet to another planet even without a vehicle. Whereas here we need some means of transport, like a car or a plane, aircraft or a ship or etc. But Siddhaloka residents, they don't need all these things. They can fly without any vehicle. In Vidyadhara Loka also there is mention as to how the flying is something very common. Like birds fly in the sky, residents also fly. So there are a lot of mystic powers one can attain by performing these yoga practices, but that is not the ultimate aim. Many times what happens is that if someone attains these mystic powers, then they get attached to these mystic powers and then they forget the real goal is to attain Vishnu, and they are bound by this, and these mystic powers also don't last for a very long time. Then there's a point of as to how Lord Shiva is a great thinker and he's a philosopher also. And Shiva, in fact, has got his own sampradaya, which is called Rudra Sampradaya, which is one of the 4 authorized sampradayas. As we all know, Padma Purana recognizes 4 sampradayas in the Vaishnava sampradayas, of which one is Rudra Sampradaya. Others are like Brahma Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumara Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, and so forth. But these sampradayas, the teachings flow from the Supreme Lord himself to the next. For example, here the teachings flow from Lord Krishna to Lord Rudra, and so forth. In the case of Brahma Sampradaya, to which we belong, the teachings flow from Krishna to Brahma and so forth in the disciplic succession. Kumara Sampradaya teachings flow to the Kumaras, and the Sri Sampradaya, whereby the teachings flow through the goddess of fortune, Sri. So this is how Rudra Sampradaya belongs to Lord Shiva, which is one of the recognized Sampradayas. But the goal is ultimately Lord Krishna. One important point is that Lord Shiva is also a very great demigod. Apart from his role as a demigod, he also has his role as a Vaishnava. And being a great Vaishnava, it's said that Lord Shiva is the greatest of all Vaishnavas, Vaishnava Namyata Shambhu. So one of his important role is to, he performs is, he always being compassionate in nature as a great Vaishnava, always contemplates on how to deliver even demons from the fallen condition of life. These are in text 38. Now we'll go to text 39. Here there's a mention as to how, when all the sages and demigods headed by Indra offered their respectful obeisances unto Lord Shiva with folded hands, Lord Shiva was actually dressed up in saffron garments and he was absorbed in trance. This is what is called Samadhi. We will discuss about this Samadhi a bit and then what is the outcome of this Samadhi. There is a mention of Lord Shiva was situated in Brahma Nirvana. This Brahma Nirvana or Brahmananda is explained by Prahlad Maharaj. Is a stage one attains when he is focused on, when he is in trance or Samadhi. Samadhi means focused attention on one goal, that is the Supreme Lord. Now here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada very clearly mentions as to how Lord Shiva attained this Brahmananda. Lord Shiva was focusing on the Supreme Lord as Adokshaja. Adokshaja means that the Supreme Lord cannot be perceived by our material senses. The Lord has got a transcendental name, form, quality, etc., which is much different from what we perceive, our name, our form, etc. Ours are all in the material 3 modes of material nature, but Lord Krishna has got transcendental name, form, quality, existence, pastime, etc. And this Lord is situated beyond the conception of materialistic person. That is why Lord Krishna is called Adokshaja. So Lord Shiva was focusing or meditating on that Lord who is beyond the conception of materialistic senses. And the Lord's form is composed of Satchit Ananda, that is eternal bliss and knowledge, which cannot be perceived our senses materially. But because we are conditioned to see everything with our material eyes, many times when people are not able to see God, they think that God is dead. Otherwise, they think that God has no form. Whereas Lord Brahma himself prays in Brahma Samhita in the 29th sloka, we see Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Lord has got an eternal form. He is always full of bliss and is always full of knowledge. So constant meditation on that form of the Lord is what is called Samadhi or trance. So the attention is so concentrated that one does not think of anything other than the Supreme Lord himself. So Lord Shiva achieved this qualification of meditating, and the outcome was that he was enjoying Brahma Nirvana or Brahmananda, or the bliss that is derived by meditating on the Lord. Lord Shiva exhibited these symptoms. Now, Nirvana is a stage where there is no other manifestation of any other activities other than Krishna conscious activities. So that is what is called Krishna consciousness. So this was the position of practicing the Ashtanga Yoga, by which the ultimate result is Brahma Nirvana. Of course, like I mentioned, one cannot do this, practice this in this age of Kali Yuga, where people are normally disturbed and there's so much of external disturbances. Sometimes Brahma Nirvana also means that one is situated in Brahman, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's a mention of how Lord Shiva is a great philosopher and who is very, very thoughtful. And this can happen only if someone can think very nicely about Krishna. And such a personality is called Manu also. So Lord Shiva is described here as the chief of all thinkers. And of course, Lord Shiva does not engage in any useless mental speculation like people do as to whether God has got form or no, or is an impersonal Lord. Lord Shiva knows that the Lord Krishna has got a transcendental form. And he is always thoughtful how to deliver fallen souls due to his compassionate nature. We'll discuss a few aspects of this compassionate nature of Lord Shiva. There is a mention as to how when the Mandara mountain pastimes, the nectar was equally distributed between the demigods and the demons. And when the churning started, there was a huge amount of poison that came out, and the Prajapatis saw no one else but Lord Shiva to come to the rescue. And then when they came, they offered their glorious prayers to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva agreed to them to come to their rescue, and he said to his wife Bhavani, he said, "My dear Bhavani, just see how all these living entities have been placed in danger because of the produce that has come out of the churning of the ocean of milk. It is my duty to give protection and safety to all living entities struggle for existence." Because along with the milk, there was a lot of poison also that came out of the churning ocean, churning of the milk ocean. So this poison is something that was harmful for all the living entities. So the Prajapatis went to Lord Shiva and they expressed that you are the only one who can rescue us. So at that time, Lord Shiva immediately, being a master, he agreed to protect all the suffering dependents. And when one performs these benevolent activities for the benefit of others, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari, becomes pleased. So Lord Shiva is telling his wife Bhavani, when the Lord is pleased, I am also pleased. That means when Lord Hari is pleased, I will also be pleased. Therefore, let me go and drink this poison for all the living entities may thus become happy because of me. That is the reason what Lord Shiva did was he condensed the entire poison that was there in his palm and he drank it. And that is how he held the poison from coming down to the earth and poisoning the living entities. That is why one of the names for Lord Shiva is Nilakanta, because his throat is always blue. That is because of the poison that he drank. And he thus saved all the living entities from death. One example is about Haridas Thakura. It is said that one time Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Srila Haridas Thakura and he said, in this age of Kali, people are bereft of all the Vedic literatures and they are called Yavanas. It is true because people are not intelligent enough to understand the Vedas or the literatures like Bhagavad Gita or even basic literatures like Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. They are concerned only with cows, killing cows, and they are devoid of Brahminical culture. And so they engage in all the sinful activities. So Mahaprabhu asked Haridas Thakura, how can all these Yavanas be delivered? I do not see any way. So Haridas Thakura replied, my dear Lord, do not be in anxiety. Do not be unhappy to see the condition of Yavanas in this material world. Even a Mlecha who is being killed by the tusk of a boar and who cries in distress again and again, by just attaining the name Rama can attain liberation. So the letters of the holy name have so much potency that even it can deliver even one who has uttered the name improperly or without proper attention. That means Haridas Thakura says that even one who utters the name of the Lord without proper attention or without a proper intention, he also can be delivered. That is the power of the holy name. So this is how Srila Haridas Thakura replied to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Another example is when Haridas Thakura was being beaten in the 22 marketplaces. He was simply praying to the Lord, Lord Krishna, please be merciful to these living entities. Actually, he was begging mercy for the ones who are beating him. He said, forgive their offense of torturing me. And actually, the guards who were beating him, they saw that Haridas Thakura, in spite of beating him so much, Haridas Thakura did not have effect in his body. And they said to Haridas, oh Haridas, we will be killed because of you. Due to which then Haridas Thakura then replied, if my remaining alive creates a problem for you, then I will give up my body just now. And thereafter it is said that Haridas Thakura went deep into meditation, by which they externally they thought Haridas Thakura is dead, but actually Haridas Thakura was alive. So this was one of the mystic powers that Haridas Thakura had because of chanting the holy name of the Lord, but he did not express it openly. There is another quote as to how Prahlad Maharaj, he gives in his prayers. He says, in this Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, he prays to Lord Narasimhadeva. He says, oh best of great personalities, I'm not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, I'm always absorbed in the thoughts of your glories and activities. So Prahlad Maharaj says, I'm not afraid of this material existence because I'm always engaged in thoughts of your glories and your activities. Then he says, my concern is only for fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. That means, he says, my concern is only for those who are trying to maintain their family, society, etc., by making plans for material happiness, making elaborate plans. So Haridas Thakur, Prahlad Maharaj is more concerned about those who engage in these material activities of maintaining their family, for which they are making so many plans. They are not concerned about the goal of life. Then he says, I'm simply concerned with love for them. Then Prahlad Maharaj is very happy being Krishna conscious, but he is concerned about the welfare of so many who make plans, but they can't be. That means, irrespective of whatever plans that one makes in this material world, one can never be situated in happiness. And one of the Prahlad Maharaj had many good qualities, of which one of them is his compassionate nature to all the living entities. He was very kind to all. He was respectable to all. He dealt with each and everyone like his menial servant. Like to the poor, it is mentioned he was like a father. To his equals, he was like a sympathetic brother. To the teachers, spiritual masters, elder god brothers, he considered all of them to be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he was free from all false pride, because though he had a lot of opulence. He was never envious of Vaishnavas, never agitated anyone, even when he's put into difficulty, or he had no material desires. He had his senses very well controlled, and he subdued his lusty desires. Yeah, and he was not interested in any childish playthings. This is the glories of Prahlad Maharaj. So he mentioned that by seeing his bodily features, even those who were poor in spiritual understanding became purified. That was the glory of Prahlad Maharaj. We next come to the glories of Advaita Acharya, whose mention is there in the purport also in this sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam. It said that during the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Sadashiva, he himself appeared as Advaita Prabhu. And when he appeared, his chief concern was to see how to elevate the fallen conditioned souls to the platform of devotional service to Lord Krishna. So at that time, people were more or less engaged in useless occupations to continue their material existence. So the Lord Shiva, he appeared in the form of Lord Advaita and appealed to the Supreme Lord to appear as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to deliver these conditioned souls. So it is mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in fact appeared on the request of Advaita Acharya. And the process is given. One time Lord Shiva was seeing the miserable condition of all the living entities in the material world. Seeing that, he became so disappointed. He thought that how could they be delivered? Then the only way he thought that would be to explain to Sri Mahavishnu, who would find the approximate solution. So he went to the causal ocean and he meditated for 700 years. And then Mahavishnu appeared and entered into the body of Lord Shiva. And at that time, a loud voice came from the sky and said, "First you descend in the womb of Lava, and I will descend the womb of Sachi and Jagannath Mishra." So that means the voice appeared saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would appear in the womb of Sachi and Jagannath Mishra, and Advaita Acharya would appear in the form of in the womb of Lava. So on hearing this, Lord Shiva combined with Mahavishnu and entered into the womb of Kuvera Pandita and Lava. So this is how the went on. And after their marriage, they had many sons, but they all died. And they later went to the bank of Ganges and performed austerities. And that is how Advaita Acharya appeared as he first was Kamalaksha, who was later known as Advaita Acharya. So before Kamalaksha was born, it is said that a strange astrologer came and visited the house and said, "This time you will get a divine son who will live a long life. He will be fully conversant with all the with all the scriptures, and he will preach devotional service to all the living entities." And this is how the astrologer predicted. And then he vanished, I believe. So when Advaita Acharya appeared, at that time he saw the world devoid of all the devotional service, and everyone was engaged in material affairs. So he felt compassion on all the living entities, and he began to ponder onto how can I deliver these living entities. Since his name, as an Acharya, he is a very confidential servitor of the Lord. His heart was full of compassion for the fallen souls, and therefore he tries to find means to deliver. He himself was very powerful enough to deliver, but then he thought the Supreme Lord himself must come to improve the situation. So first he tried to preach by himself to many along with a few devotees, but people did not respond because that's how the Kali Yuga is. Then Advaita Acharya began to fast constantly, and then still people did not realize, but Advaita Acharya was always dancing in ecstasy due to his devotional service. Whenever Srivas Thakura would chant loudly, the villagers would think that they are mad and they would drive Srivas out of village. And when Advaita Acharya heard this, he was very, very furious. Then he said, "I will make Krishna to come. If I fail to do this, I will manifest my four-handed form and take up this disc myself." So this is how Advaita Acharya took a vow that I will make Lord Krishna to come. If I fail, I will do it myself. So Advaita Acharya thought if Krishna were to appear as an incarnation, he could preach by devotion, by personal example. And he knew that in this age of Kali, there is no other means of deliverance other than the chanting of this holy name. So he was wondering how in this age, when the means of deliverance is chanting the holy name, how will the Lord appear in the form of an incarnation? Then he worshipped Krishna in a purified state of mind, and he said that I'll petition him in humbleness. He said, "My name is Advaita, and that name is fitting if I'm able to induce Krishna to inaugurate the chanting of the holy name of the Lord." Advaita Prabhu is non-different from the Lord. At the same time, he renders service to the Lord, of whom he is a plenary portion. So thinking like this, he offered a mantra. The translation of that mantra is, we know this, we have heard this, Tulasi Dalamatrena Jalasya Chalukenava. The translation is, Sri Krishna, who is very affectionate towards his devotee, selfs himself to a devotee who offers him merely a tulasi leaf and a palmful of water. So one who offers a bit of tulasi and a little bit of water, Krishna himself sells to that person who offers these two things, that is just tulasi and water. So Advaita Acharya thought that Krishna must be thinking there is no other greater wealth than tulasi and water. So thinking like this, Advaita Acharya offered tulasi leaves and Ganges water, and he started calling out the Lord very loudly so that the Lord may appear. So it is through him that because of his loud calling, Lord appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to spread the Sankirtana movement and deliver the whole world. And because he has no other occupation than to teach devotional service, his name was also given as Advaita Acharya. Some more examples. One time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Advaita Acharya were discussing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Advaita Acharya, I've descended to fulfill your vow. Because you worship me, I was sleeping in, before you worship me, I was sleeping in the milk ocean. And because your loud cries broke my sleep, I could not tolerate this. You could not tolerate the suffering of the living entities. So you brought me here to deliver them. That means Advaita Acharya could not tolerate the condition of the living entities, and he cried so loudly that he woke up the sleep of the Lord. Of course, Lord does not sleep like us. His Lord's sleep is called Yoganatra. Lord was supposed to come here and deliver. Then the Lord says, all my associates have also taken birth because of you. And I will distribute the chanting of the holy name from house to house and distribute devotional service. So Advaita Acharya glorified the Lord by prayers, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Advaita Acharya, you ask for any benediction that you want, I would like to give it. Advaita Acharya said, if you will distribute devotional service, please give it to the less intelligent persons also, like women, Shudras, etc. And let all the sinful people who are proud of their education, wealth, high birth, dog eaters, dance and sing your holy names. Then Mahaprabhu said, your desire will be fulfilled. And that's how we see that even today, the chanting of the holy names can be undertaken even by women or Shudras in this Kali Yuga. So Advaita Acharya's requirement from the Supreme Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was that the Lord gives a benediction by which even all the low class people like Shudras, etc., also can be delivered of their sinful activities. And even there may be many who are proud of their education, wealth, etc. But there may be dog eaters, but just by chanting of the holy name, they can be delivered. Then there are mention about how we'll take some examples from Srila Prabhupada's compassionate nature. Srila Prabhupada was also one of a compassionate nature who preached all over the world. Out of his compassionate nature, he wanted to somehow deliver the people in this age. So Srila Prabhupada gave what is the real happiness in the spiritual platform. He showed how even low-class people like the hippies can be delivered from this by taking up the process of Krishna consciousness. Not only that, Srila Prabhupada gave everything Krishna conscious in a way that is acceptable even to the highly materialistic society. For example, it is said that when he went to the USA, there were people who are from very highly affluent background, and they were lost. But he gave them directions. They developed faith in Srila Prabhupada in a way that they were prepared to do anything for Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada also presented nice festivals like Janmashtami, etc., which was unknown anywhere excepting in India in the world. But today, Janmashtami, festivals like Rath Yatra are celebrated throughout the world, every nook and corner of the world. Srila Prabhupada, of course, wrote more than 10,000 letters, translated more than 80 books, established 109 temples, initiated and trained more than 5,000 disciples over a short period of time. And he gave Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam class every day and traveled the globe around 14 times at a very late age of 70 plus years. This was the compassionate nature of Srila Prabhupada. This is how Vaishnavas are very, very compassionate. They are always thinking how to deliver the fallen souls. It is said that during the early days of Srila Prabhupada, the financial situation was not very sound, but Srila Prabhupada would distribute books, and whatever money he would get, he would make some money and then buy grains, etc. But then, even during the early days when there was no money, the hippies would come and eat and go away. But Srila Prabhupada could even go to the extent of washing their plates. This is how Srila Prabhupada was compassionate. And that is why he is called an Acharya. Now, similarly, we see an example in Mahabharata about how Vidura was compassionate on Dhritarashtra. As we all know, Duryodhana made such a sarcastic remark about Vidura that literally Vidura was forced to be driven out of the house. So Vidura left his family and his house, etc., and he went on a long pilgrimage. And Vidura tried to counsel Dhritarashtra so many times, but Dhritarashtra never listened to him. But still, Vidura had a soft corner for Dhritarashtra in his heart. So when Vidura went on a long pilgrimage to all the holy places, at some point of time, he came to realize that the battle of Kurukshetra was over and the Pandavas were reinstated as kings, rulers of the kingdom. And he thought that he should somehow deliver Dhritarashtra. So he came to Hastinapur and he saw Dhritarashtra living a luxurious life in the palace under the Pandavas' rule. And he addressed Dhritarashtra like this. He says, "My dear king, please get out of here immediately. Do not delay. Just see how fear has overtaken you. Your father, your brother, and all of your sons are dead, and all have passed away. Your body is now overtaken by invalidity, and you are living in the home of another." This is how Vidura was very strong in his words. Then he says, "You have been blind from birth, and now you are hard of hearing. You are not able to hear. Your memory is shortened, and your intelligence is disturbed. Your teeth are loose, and your liver is defective, and you are coughing mucus. You are just living life like a household dog and eating remnants of food given by Bhima." So Vidura was so sarcastic that he told Dhritarashtra, "You are living like a household dog in the house of Bhima, whose remnants you are eating. There is no need to subsist on the charity of those whom you tried to kill by arson and poisoning." So Vidura was so strong, he said that you are eating in the same house whose charity you are taking and whom you tried to kill. So he also said, "You insulted one of their wives and usurped their kingdom and wealth. Your body will dwindle and deteriorate like an old garment." He is a first-class man who understands the falsity of this material world and leaves home and depends on the personality of Godhead. So Vidura preached so strongly, and finally he said, "Therefore leave for the north immediately without anyone's information." And thus he left home, followed by Gandhari. So Vidura preached so strongly to Dhritarashtra out of his compassionate nature. Though Dhritarashtra, he would have advised Dhritarashtra so many times in the past, but Dhritarashtra never listened to his advice. But this time he thought that he should deliver Dhritarashtra. So finally, with such strong preaching, Dhritarashtra understood what Vidura was preaching, and he thought that it is better that I leave home. So Dhritarashtra left, then Gandhari immediately followed, and they set fire, because they were all great mystics, they set fire and left their bodies. Vidura also followed them, and that is how Vidura's preaching delivered Dhritarashtra also. So this is the compassionate nature of all Vaishnavas. Similarly, we see, before concluding, that Advaita Acharya also appeared as a combination. Advaita Acharya was a combined incarnation of Mahavishnu and Lord Shiva. So Rudra appeared as Advaita Acharya and to deliver. And because Advaita Acharya prayed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to spread the holy name of the Lord. So with this, I conclude the class for the day. If any of you has got any questions, any comments, you can ask me. So if there are no questions, we close the class for the day. Thank you all very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.